Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our review of the Power Book 3 Raising Kanan Season 2 premiere. I don't know if it's like this with anybody else, but like the moment that, 50 comes on with the theme song and it's just part of the game, I'm just like, oh man, I'm in. I miss this show so much. I'm in. This was so good.
This was really good. This was totally worth the wait. Raising Kanan was my favorite new show of last year, and that's saying a lot because Squid Game was out and that was excellent, and Yellow Jackets was out, which was also really good, but Raising Kanan was it for me. And going into season 2, I was even more excited because we already know that we're having a season 3, so it was already renewed before we even went into this, so I was able to go into this feeling a lot more relaxed, knowing that whatever story happens this season, we're going to have more story for another season. I thought that was really good. Felt good.
It's a nice relief. It was so easy to just like get immersed in these characters in this world again. It's such a cliche, but it really didn't. It really felt like almost no time had passed once we were actually like fully back into this.
This summer in general has been like 10 out of 10 TV.
Yeah.
Like, even for us here at the channel, I mean, there's like the final season of Better Call Saul, the finale, the series finales tomorrow night. We've got the final season of Animal Kingdom, which has been a really, really good season. I mean, we're covering Only Murders in the Building, which is great.
Yeah.
We have a House of the Dragon coming up really soon, also been great. It's just, and now Raising Kanan is back. This is the summer of TV. I can't remember another summer that's had a lineup like this.
TV gods, you be blessing us. Yeah. And you know what? We have so much more to discuss here, obviously, as well. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button so that you guys don't miss any of those videos. Hopefully, all of that stuff will be really fun, exciting. The bar has been set very high because of the Raising Kanan premiere.
Yeah, it really has. And also follow us over on Instagram, Matt and Jess TV.
Okay, let's just start with like the opening of this. So Kanan is like in Virginia on the beach, and
And 3 months have passed.
I would just say this. For me, I wouldn't leave the beach. I would just stay chilling on the beach because, like, I know everything that happened in New York in season 1. It's like, here I can just, like, play video games, hang out by the ocean. This seems to be a pretty good setup.
Yeah, and I mean, Kanan's really feeling that way too. He said, I really don't want to leave. He's, wherever I am, I still am, sort of thing. He can't escape what's happened, what he did, that he took this shot at Howard, he missed, and he really feels like this is sticking with him. And I like that this show, even though they did this small time jump, that it shows that he's really affected by what he's done. And we all know him later on in the Power series that he's a much more hardened guy, but it's nice to see him at this age really struggling with what he's done, what he's just not sure if this is for him. And it's nice to see that that's part of him, that he didn't sort of just wake up one day, he's a badass, it's fine, no problems, no conscience about it, that he's really feeling what he did, and it's sticking with him anywhere he goes. And even coming back, that conversation with his mom where he really just felt like, I'm gonna let her down. She's gonna find out that I'm having regrets, that I'm feeling like maybe this isn't for me, and she's gonna look at me different.
That's the best part of the premiere to me, is that he's not just ready to get back in and get back into the game and get back into all this sort of action. Like, he's actually thinking, more like somebody who is very, very young, who's like, I think at some point in all of our lives, we get sort of afraid that we're going to let our parents down. I think, the problem here for Kanan is that his mother is running a criminal empire, but it is like that insecurity that's within him is like totally normal. And it's like, yeah, it makes sense that you would wonder whether or not you continue to want to do this. Like, this makes Kanan so much more human. If he had just like come back after months on the beach playing video games and it's like, all right, let's start breaking some laws. Let's like go start causing some chaos. And be, okay, come on. Like, this all makes sense, and it's a good bit of development given that we know things aren't staying this way.
Yeah, and that's why, for me, one of my favorite parts of this whole episode was when he finally came clean to his mom and was like, listen, this is how I'm feeling about this. I know that you're running this criminal empire, the whole family's involved, and, I'm just not sure where I fit in or if I even fit in. And her reaction to it is really sort of what this show is about for me. Like, yeah, there's everything that's going on with the criminal empire, but this show is about this family, and it's about Rock's relationship with her son, with her brothers, with everything that's going on. So for her to sit down and sort of mirror what was already in my mind, where she was just like, none of this matters if you're not okay. Like, I'm here for you. Like, you don't need to take care of me. I'm your mom. I'm here to take care of you. Like, this is what the relationship is. This is what the dynamic is. You don't need to have that kind of pressure on you at this age. That's my job for you. I was just like, oh man, it's just, the show is so good.
I hope that we just all remember these moments come like episode 7 where everything hits the fan and there's like trust issues and like Rock and Kanan are like running all over the place, because that's inevitably gonna happen.
Because Unique is out. Okay, listen, after last season, I was really worried that we actually weren't gonna see Unique again. He was a really big surprise for me. I had never seen this actor before. I know that he's a musician as well. I wasn't familiar with him at all. And then I saw him on the show last season, and I absolutely loved him. I loved him as an actor. I loved him as a character. And then he got arrested at the end of it, and I was like, oh no, we're not going to have him back again. I was really worried about it. But here we are. He is out of jail. Nothing stuck to him. And we ended this episode with him walking out. And I was so excited about it. And I know Rock is trying to fix things so that when he gets out, it's a really smart plan where she's like, you know what? I'm going to take in his guys. I'm going to take in his right-hand man. I'm going to sort of elevate him in my side of what I'm doing with my business. So when he comes out, he has nothing, but he's out. And, all of those pieces haven't exactly been put into place yet. He's back.
Okay, see... Your excitement for Unique.
Yeah, no, I just think he's such an interesting character. Yeah. Like, he's very powerful, and he's such a good back and forth with Rock, and I enjoyed that so much last season.
He is a great character. He's an awesome adversary. The thing about him that I think is so captivating to me is just like how unbelievably charismatic he is, and it's just like, if you are going to be a guy in this position, like, you got to be able to basically tell people, I want you to go to this convenience store. I want you to jump off of this bridge. I want you to swim 20 miles in the ocean. And no matter what you say, they have to believe in you and be like, okay, I'm going to go and do that. And that's what makes Unique. So I know, wait for it. Unique. It's just that there's not a lot of other people out there and that are like him. And
yeah, he really reminds me, for anyone out there who is watching Better Call Saul, there's a character over there named Lalo.
Oh boy.
He has just this incredible charisma about him, and Unique has exactly the same thing. And it is a very sort of unique thing about having someone who can do these terrible things and is in a really heavy criminal business, but that there's something just so charismatic about him that people want to follow. They want to do what he wants them to do. And, we're back here again. It's great.
Okay, let's have a Detective Howard conversation here, because Howard...
It's a miracle. Okay. He's all good.
Except, wait for it, record scratch. I don't remember. Okay,
sure.
Yeah, I'm doing a Power Rangers reference in a Power video. I don't care. Okay, so no, this guy, who buys this? Like, that is the real... I mean, you guys can obviously, we can all discuss this in the comments, but like, in this world, who buys this? Out of all the things Detective Howard has gone through, this is, a detective who grew up around the neighborhood, understands his community so well. He's probably been in many intense situations over the course of his career. Maybe none of them, pushed his life to the brink like this did, but just, all of a sudden the selective amnesia here, especially after 3 months, is just astounding, along with everybody else's willingness to just like go with this and accept it.
Yeah, everyone is just blindly believing this. It's so interesting. Even the doctor is convinced, being like, no, yeah, this is a real thing that's happening. It's just like, okay, nobody believes this. Why would anybody on this show believe that he is just unable to remember just this incident, really, of who is it that shot him? I mean, it feels very suspect in that nobody on the police force is even questioning the fact that he just doesn't remember this, or isn't even really trying to push his partner to sit down with him and be like, really, let's try to go through this as much as we can. Or even that the department isn't like, let's get you in with somebody. And maybe they did during these 3 months, but we haven't seen it. Let's get you in with a therapist or somebody that can maybe find a way to jog your memory.
How is this guy even still alive? Like, he's found out, he's already battling a life-threatening illness in season 1.
It's a miracle.
This dude is the Black Knight from Monty Python, where in like the series finale, he's just gonna be like wandering around on just like one leg. He's gonna have maybe like a bionic hand. Like, I don't understand, but don't get me wrong. I love Howard as a character. I know things are gonna get super, super messy, especially with Rock continuing to just sort of act like everything is going to be okay here.
Yeah, seeing the two of them, Rock and Howard, meet up at the end of this. We haven't seen anything that's been said yet, but obviously that's the key that shows us all he remembers. He's going there to have this talk. And the thing that I really appreciated the most out of it was that Howard was kind of like, this was a life-changing experience for me. And I mean, he is a cop, and being shot at is part of his job, and he knows that going into it. But being shot by your son is a life-changing experience. And that is something that he was really like, this has changed me. Like, I've had 3 months. I've really thought through this. And, I have amnesia now, sort of thing. And that makes sense because he may, and probably does, need more time with this.
He's probably, I don't know, maybe half of the season he'll start to open up a little bit more with it. Yeah, this is going to be a very slow build. And this is the genius, I think, of raising Kanan in a way where all of these characters have all these different layers and things to mine through. It's like we're already more than 12 minutes in, and we haven't even talked about really the rest of the family here. Like Marvin, I have such complicated feelings about Marvin because like what he did to Jukebox last season was horrendous and awful, and it's still like just terrible thinking about it. And then you have this scene with Marvin when he's going to the meeting in this episode, and he's just like eating all the food and signing in and being like, well, see you later. And it's just like, this guy can be capable of just such charisma and so much. He has this sort of lighthearted side to him, but this really, really dark side, and it is so difficult to watch him now, knowing everything that we know.
Yeah, everything that happened with Marvin and Jukebox last season was just soul crushing.
Yeah.
It was so difficult to watch, and it's still difficult to watch. We're 3 months later where he's like, hey, I know what I did, but, I really want to try to find a way to fix it with, he's not really at the point that he knows how to put the work in to make that change. You can't walk that back. And Jukebox is making it clear. You can't walk back what you did. It's there forever. So instead, he does need to put in the work to go into a different direction going forward, but he doesn't have those tools. Instead of being like, hey, how's school? School hasn't started yet. Like, he just doesn't know what to do. And that's why when he went to that anchor management meeting and he was like, oh, I've signed in, I got my donut, I'm leaving. And the person running the meeting was like, nah, you can have this chair, you can have another chair, and I promise you won't like that other chair, so you might as well take this chair. Is it possible that she can get through?
I hope so. Marvin just needs to have an openness to a little bit of the process. I mean, I know we're dealing with a different time here, and it's a time when, mental health discussions were not like at the forefront of society. And I'm guessing Marvin is a guy who has never really had any of these resources throughout the entirety of his life. He's probably been told there's a very specific way that he has to be, and I'm sure all of these expectations versus reality sort of fuel his anger a little bit. And there's a different way, like, I don't think any of us as viewers can forgive him for what he did to Jukebox, just like she can't forgive him. But I think there's a way for all of us to sort of move forward and accept a new path for him.
The only person that can forgive him is Jukebox. We all just have to be along for the ride to see how it's going to end up playing out. It is very difficult for us to, forgive him. And we're not really in a position to do that. It really is just up to what Jukebox is going to want to do, which brings me to some of my other favorite scenes of this is anything with Jukebox and Kanan. Their relationship is just, it's so amazing. It reminds me of me and my cousins. I have twin cousins. We have a relationship like this too, where there's lots of love, there's lots of joking around, giving each other a hard time. But like when it really comes down to it and you really need to have those tough conversations, these two are really there for each other. I mean, she's really the first person that Kanan was like, I don't know how I feel about doing this and what I did and staying in this business and letting down my mom. And they've always had that relationship where she will give him the very honest feedback that he needs to hear, where she's like, you need to have that conversation. You can't just sit on this.
It's so unbelievably important. Like he doesn't really have anyone else that he can talk to about this sort of stuff anymore. Is it like he's gonna go and talk to Famous, who, by the way, I am all the way out on Famous. He has annoyed me to no end in this premiere.
Famous is all the way out on Famous. So we had everything that was going on now with Lou, where Famous, He had his single. It didn't really end up going anywhere. Now Lou's he's balancing a lot of things. He really wants to continue on with the music business, which is extremely important in all the Power shows. Music on this series and all of this universe is extremely important. So it's been great having this specific storyline on here because of how important music is for Power. But what's going on with Famous, where he's like, hey, he had this single, it just didn't pop the way that it was supposed to. And now he's not writing anything else. He's not doing anything else. He was sort of this one-hit wonder, and now he's just sitting around doing nothing sort of thing. I have to move on. And Lou trying to balance what's going on with the family, where he doesn't really want to be involved with the business. Him and Rock were on, shaky ground by the end of last season. He really wants to make something out of this music business. It's very complicated for him.
I'm going to go on a limb here and say something horrible is going to happen to this music business this season. And it's not like I'm rooting for terrible things to happen to Lulu or anything like that. It's just like this show is so centralized on sort of Rock and what's going on with this family business. And I just keep thinking, we know that Kanan's never really going to get fully away from that world. Mm-hmm. Unique is out. Those scenes with Unique and Lulu last season, like, those were so unbelievably good.
Yeah, they were.
I just tend to think that some sort of blowback is going to come somewhere, and I wouldn't be shocked if it comes his way. And then, like, there goes the career of Famous. Streets need a body, and now that body is yours, Famous, because you may end up getting killed by the end of this.
I actually wonder if Lulu's business is going to really take off now that he's found this new woman with this voice of an angel, that things are going to really take off, and that's going to cause like a bigger problem in the family, because Rock is still telling Lou, okay, you're in charge of this. I don't know. No, you are in charge of this. You're going to do this sort of thing. That if things start to really like blow up for him, it's going to really pull them apart even more. And the people that Rock can trust the most, of course, is her family. And that makes sense, especially in a business like this. So what's going to happen if he starts to skyrocket?
It's a good question. I think it is going to cause problems. Like, who knows? Wouldn't it be funny if Rock is the person who destroys his business because of the reason you specified? Like,
It's possible. We've seen stuff like that before. We're watching final season of Animal Kingdom, as I mentioned. If you guys are watching that, then you already know this sort of plot. And this isn't a spoiler or anything if you haven't seen it. But, I mean, the mother of that show is really sort of doing that to other family members to make sure that they stay in the business, making sure that, like, oh, you have this other thing going on, or this bar, or this gym, or this whatever that you have going on. I'm going to have to make sure that that's just not working out for you. Oh, you want to go to school and better yourself? No, because if you do that, then you're not part of the business anymore.
This show is so good. I was so in just from like the first few minutes. We have so much to talk through the rest of season 2.
Yeah.
Hit that subscribe button so you guys don't miss any of that. You can check out all the other shows that we've mentioned here. Follow us on Instagram at Matt and Jess TV, and we will see you here next time.